being here. Thanks for getting out and being here. It's great to see you. Amen. We're Abrahamic, and that's what Abraham's into. He's into hospitality, and that's what we're into. Everyone here is so welcome, and we're glad to have everyone. We are a family. We really are a family here, you know what I mean? Yes. So tonight's portion starts in Genesis 18, and it goes right through to Genesis 22. Same as last week. It's hard to miss anything out. I mean, it's so hard to just skip portions of this out, so I'm going to just try and read as much as I can. Last week we did that, and we only got to the end of chapter 15, so just a quick summary of chapter 16 and 17 to get us up to date. We finished in chapter 15 last week, got introduced again to the gospel. It said so clearly in Galatians chapter 3 verse 8 that the gospel was preached to Abraham, and that's what we looked at last week. So chapter 16 last week was when, even though God had just promised Abraham and Sarah a child, Sarah told Abraham to go and have a child with her handmaiden Hagar, and that's what happened in chapter 16, that Abram had a child with Hagar, and that child was called Ishmael, which is Shema, isn't it? Shema is hear, God hears, that's why his name is Ishmael, because God heard the cry of Hagar. And so it told us in verse 16 of chapter 16 that Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. So he was 86 years old when he had his first son, but as we'll read tonight, this is the son of the bondwoman. It was the work of the flesh. It wasn't according to promise, and no one could be saved through that system, and that still remains today. We're into the next system, which is the system of promise. That's Isaac. Then chapter 17 was all about circumcision. When you read it, powerful chapter. And thank God for Paul, because if it weren't for Paul, I'd have been getting circumcised ages ago. I'd have read it and gone, I've got to get circumcised. But thank God for Paul, that Paul makes it so clear that we do not get circumcised. And the people that tell us that we are very, very clever with the words and very, very twisted with what they teach, because circumcision is not for Gentiles, for the nations that have been grafted into this covenant. Not circumcision of the flesh. Paul tells us in Colossians quite clearly that we have been circumcised through the Messiah. The circumcision of the heart is what it was always pointing to. And Paul's so clear about it in Galatians when he says, if I still preach circumcision, why am I getting persecuted? Which makes it quite clear that Paul wasn't preaching circumcision, physical circumcision. So that's that chapter 16 and 17. But it's relevant because going straight into 18, it's at the same time. It's just after Abraham's been circumcised. The sages say this is on the third day. That chapter 18 starts when he's in maximum pain because of his circumcision at the age of 99 or something, you know. But he went through it. But we are circumcised of the heart, isn't it? We've got new hearts now, a new spirit. Hearts of flesh, not hearts of stone. That's what the circumcision that we believe in. So that's that. Then chapter 18 is where we start tonight. So that just brought us up to date. But I'll just finish with verse 27 of chapter 17, because it's here, the people that have got to be circumcised, they're all the men of his house, the ones that are born in his house, all bought with money from a foreigner. We were not bought with money. That's what Peter teaches. We were not redeemed with things like silver and gold. We were redeemed with the precious blood of the Lamb. Amen. So if we were redeemed by money, we should get physically circumcised. But Peter's saying it clearly, you were not redeemed with money. You were redeemed with something far more precious than money, the blood of Yeshua. And through your baptism, through your identity with him, you are circumcised, male and female. So chapter 18, then, this is called Vayera, this portion, Vayera. and it means, and he appeared. And that's how it starts. Then Yah appeared to him, to Abraham, by the terebinth trees of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. Yah appeared to him. I mean, it is what it is. It says what it says. Yah appeared to him. We know who Yah is, don't we? Yah is Yeshua, is Yah. He's not some messenger of Yah or some prophet of Yah. He is all of that. But he is actually Yah in the flesh. And Hebrews chapter 1 verse 10 will prove that to you. I'm not going to read it, but if you just read Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8 and verse 10, it says, to the Son he says, and in verse 10, quoting from Psalm 1, whatever it is, it says, you, Yahovah, in the beginning you created the heavens and the earth. And that's directed to the Son. So there's no doubt about it. Yeshua is Yah. Amen. The Father is Yah, and Yeshua and the Father are one. And that's the greatest commandment. Hear, O Israel, Yahovah is one. The Father and the Son are one. So Yahovah appeared to him. Verse 2, so he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door, 99, to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground. He's just been circumcised, he's 99, but as soon as he sees these fellas, he darts out the tent at the door to go and meet them, and bows himself to the ground, and said, Adonai, my Lord, if I have now found favour in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. And we read about that in Noah, didn't we? Noah found favour. And we said, I think last week or two, whatever, that didn't mean Noah was just going to the shops one day and happened to stumble across something on the ground called favour. He went, oh, found some favour. He was seeking favour. Abraham found favour because he was seeking favour. He didn't just stumble across it by accident. He found it because he was seeking. Seek and you will find. Look at this, verse 4. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. We're going to find out, I'll just say it right now and I'll keep referring back to it when we read it. This time of year, it's Passover. This is Passover. We established that last week, but it was in a rush at the end. But you know, we had to connect it later on in Exodus chapter 12 where Moses says, look, we've just come out the land of Egypt and it's 430 years to the day. But when did they come out of Egypt? Passover. So when were these promises made? Passover. It's Passover. We're going to see more Passover references. But here's your first one. Let me get a little water to wash your feet. This is exactly what Yeshua was doing on the Last Supper, wasn't it? When he said, let's have some water and I'm going to wash your feet. That's why I've mentioned already, the bread and wine at the Last Supper meal was all going back to this Abrahamic faith. That's why he said, bread and wine, Melchizedek. He's a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. It's a covenant meal, it's a bride and a bridegroom relationship. This. Let a little water, it's a Passover event, and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh your hearts. It says that in Psalm 104, bread strengthens the heart of man. And that's why we love having the Kaddush, bread and wine, because it strengthens our faith. Amen. Doing what he says will always strengthen your faith. When you make things up and try and do spiritual things in a man-made way, it will destroy your faith and you'll end up like a crank. But if you do it his way, you will strengthen your faith. Amen. Always when we do it his way. After that, you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servants. They said, do as you have said. So Abraham hurried. What's another Passover reference? Passover was all about make haste, wasn't it? Yes. Make haste. You've got no time. You've got no time for your bread to become leavened bread. Just quickly knead it. Take your bowls with you. You've got no time. Get out of here dead quick. And welcome to the feast of unleavened bread. It was a time of making haste. Get out of here quick. Don't dawdle. just don't sit around and think about it and go, I'll have one more feast with the pagans. Get out quick now. Get out quick. This is the mistake lot made. Hanging around and debating about it and all the rest of it. There's great and least in the kingdom, So get out quick. Make haste. This is how the Song of Songs ends. The Song of Songs is read at Passover. It's a Passover book, and the very last verses are, make haste, my beloved. Amen. So I might give us clues to how the end's going to unfold here. So make haste. He hurried into the tent and said to Sarah, quickly, look, it's all fast, quick, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd. She's 99, just been circumcised. Ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk. So forget them rabbinic laws that says you can't have meat and dairy products together. You better tell Abraham, because he's not struggling with it. He's having a bit of meat, bit of cheese, bit of butter, whatever, bit of dairy products, all on the same meal. So that is rabbinic, what they've added. How they interpret things. You can't have a meat and a cheese or a cheesecake, you know what I mean, or whatever. That's just rabbinic. Abraham was sound with it. So butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them. And as he stood by them under the tree as they ate, then they said to him, where is Sarah, your wife? He said, here in the tent. And he said, this is Yah. Not just 3 fellas, this seems to me to be Yahovah in some manifestation with 2 angels. Not like that's a surprise, because when Yeshua rose from the dead, there was 2 angels, weren't there, at the tomb, waiting for the women to come and all the rest of it. Seems like Yeshua's always got a couple of angels with him, looking after him and that. So he said, where is Sarah, your wife, in the tent, verse 10, and he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Sarah, who was 89 at this stage, isn't she? 90 odd. Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord being also old also. You having a laugh. He's 90, I'm 80. Or he's 99 and I'm 89, and we're going to have a kid. Yeah, all right. And verse 13, Yahovah said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I surely bear a child since I'm old? Is anything too hard for Yah? No. Well said, George. And that's very like what we've seen, didn't we, in the Gospels. And Mary says, Miriam, how am I going to have a child? I haven't even known a man. I'm a virgin. I haven't had a relationship with a man yet. How am I going to have a child? And Gabriel said, nothing's too hard for the Lord. Nothing's impossible with the Lord. She said, let it be to me according to your word. Amen. And this is the same narrative. And Miriam would have been having flashbacks to this story going, because they knew the Torah. They read the Torah in their churches, and they knew what was going on. So she'd be thinking all this, same as when John the Baptist was born, miracle babies, miracle births. Well, there's the first one. And if we just go back to last week,
can I just share it with you, just fits on that. Isaac's name means laugh.
I'm going to come to that.
Oh, sorry.
No one's laughing.
That's amazing.
Well, that's why I'm going back to this now. Yeah. I'll show you something. In chapter 17, verse 15, chapter 17, verse 15, God said to Abraham, as for Sarah, your wife, you shall not call her Sarah, but Sarah, she shall be her name, and I will bless her, and I will give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she will be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples shall be from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed. So that's what he's saying. So this is going back in time now. Abraham fell on his face and laughed. and said in his heart, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Well, just, you might not spring to mind straight away, but I just checked through. Guess who else had a kid when he was 100 years old? His great-great-granddad, Shem. Shem was 100 years old, so there's something going on between the lines again. It's like, Abraham, you're like Shem. You're of this righteous line, and you're going to have a child, just like your great-granddad Shem did, at exactly 100 years old. So that's easy for Abraham, but not so much for Sarah, whose womb is dead within her, and she hasn't had the time of the month or not for years. She's been loving it.
Steve, in the Jewish Bible, Sarah, the name means mockery.
Sarah means mockery.
Mockery, it says got mockery.
Okay, didn't know that. Didn't know that.
Yes, so as I say, she was mockery probably to know.
Okay.
But now she's changed.
Okay, but the point I'm making here is fine, great. I didn't know that, George. George is saying that Sarah's name means mockery. I didn't know that. Okay. Sarai, great, okay. Nice one. It's because Sarah means princess. Or, yes, okay.
Yes.
But the point being anyway is that Abraham was laughing last week on his face, asking, this week Sarah's laughing her head off. And it all points to this. And in verse 18 of chapter 17, Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Then God said, no, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Yitzhak, Yitzhak. And I will establish my covenant with him. This is what Romans 9 says. We are the sons of promise. Isaac. We are the sons of Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant. That is the gospel. And with his descendants after him. So that name, Isaac, is Yitzhak. And that comes from what Yvonne's saying there. The Hebrew word for laugh is tzahach. Tzahach. And this is what's amazing. Just listen to this. This is what's amazing. It's tzahach. And I'm learning the alphabet now, or I know the alphabet now, and I'm starting to learn a bit of Hebrew. And it's easy, really. I'd encourage everyone to do it. But the first letter of the word to laugh is the tzadeh, tzahach, tzahach, tzadeh. And the final letter of the word tzahach is the kaf, kaf. And what's amazing about it is the tzadeh is the numerical value 90, and the kaf is the numerical value 100, and Sarah's 90 and Abraham's 100.
Wow.
And between them they produce the hey, which is the word for life, and it's the numerical letter 8, which is the new beginnings. So the new beginnings were always going to come out of a 90-year-old and a 100-year-old. And that's the beauty of the Hebrew alphabet and its numbers. 90 and 100 producing life. That's beautiful, isn't it? That is beautiful, like. So that's how great the Torah is. Amen. So that's what's happening here. They're all laughing their heads off, and they're going to have a child called Yitzhak. And that is the same as laughter, but it's got the yod at the front, and it's translated as he laughs, but yod is the first letter of God's name, isn't it? Yod, hey, vav, hey. So Yitzhak is Yah is laughing. He's the one that's laughing. Everyone else is laughing, but he's laughing as well. Which, I've got to read Psalm 2 when I say that. Psalm 2. Psalm 2 should make you laugh, because it makes me laugh. Because we're all laughing. We're the laughing gang. Because we're the sons of promise, and Yitzhak means laughter. So we're all laughing here. This is why Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage? Psalm 2, famous psalm. Why do they very end time psalm? Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yah and against his anointed, his Messiah, saying, let's break their bonds and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. Amen. Amen. Yah shall hold them in derision, then he shall speak to them in his wrath and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. Amen. So it says clearly, the creator of the universe is seated in heaven. Yeshua, we read last week in Psalm 110, sit at my right hand. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Well, Yeshua is seated in heaven, laughing his head off. And we are seated in him. Amen. So this laugh should be reverberating through us. And I'm not talking about some mad so blessing with a gang of people falling around the floor laughing when he needs to go and see the doctor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about holy laughter and joy, which comes from meditating on these things. From meditating on this and going, wow, Abraham and Sarah, 190, God, I'm laughing about this. This is hilarious, but it's true. And it was all pointing to Isaac, a miraculous son, who all points to Yeshua, who is the miraculous son. And so we've got to finish off tonight in chapter 22. So if I'm still grabbing at 9:45, stop me and let's get on to chapter 22. Because we've got loads to read here, it's great. Alright? Yeah. Amen. Verse 13, so she is that. Is anything, verse 14, is anything too hard for Yah? No. Well said, George. At the appointed time, which is Moed, isn't it? That's that Moedim. That's what we read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Let's make the sun, the moon, and the stars, and let them be for signs and for appointed times. Moedim, the feasts of Yah, the real feasts of Yah, which we love. The Shabbat, the Passover, all of them, we love them. They're his feasts, and they prepare us for what's to come. They get us on his calendar. It keeps me going. I mean it. I've been doing this long enough now to know this calendar of the Creator fuels you. It connects you with him. You're on his time, and you know you're ticking with him when you're on his calendar. It's that important. Verse 14, at the appointed time. So back in Genesis 18, verse 14. At this Moed, that's what he's saying, that's why I'm showing you, this is Passover. At this Moed, I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it and saying, I did laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. In other words, it sounds, because I'm laughing as well. We're all laughing. Everyone's laughing here. Amen. Apart from this next crowd. Verse 8:16. Then the men rose from there and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on the way. Abraham, very hospitable. This is what Hebrews says. Be hospitable. Welcome strangers. You never know, you might have angels amongst you. It's talking about this. Because Abraham just talking to men. Then we find out that's the angels. Be hospitable. And that's what we want to be here as a group, isn't it? We want to be hospitable. And you know everyone here is welcome now. But when new people come, we welcome them, don't we? We love people. That's what we're about here. Then the men rose, went with them, verse 17, and Yah said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. There's the gospel again. For I have known him. Here it is again. What did we say when we were starting off tonight? The Psalms. Psalm 139. Praying that out all the time. Know me, God. Search me, Lord God. Try me and know me. Because we don't want to be them people on the Matthew chapter 7 at the Sermon on the Mount when Yeshua said, many will say in that day, Lord, I will say, no, rejoicing, heartbroken about this. Yeshua doesn't want to cast these people away, but he's a righteous judge as well, isn't he? And he'll say to these many, get away from me, I didn't know you. So Psalm 139 is medicine for that. And that's what this is saying. I know Abraham. I know him. In order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of Yah, to do righteousness and justice, that Yah may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. He knows Abraham's going to keep the Torah. He knows Abraham's not going to say, it's all done away with now. No, he knew Abraham would keep it. And he trusted Abraham with this. And so, shall we tell Abraham what we're going to do? Yeah, let's tell him. Because we want him to tell the next generation about this. Because right through what we're about to read now is a sign for all generations to know about. In other words, God's saying, should we just keep this a secret? Just wipe Sodom out and don't tell anyone? Or should we let everyone know why? Well, I'd say let's let everyone know why, so that they can talk about it. In thousands of years to come, a gang of people in Liverpool can be talking about it. Let's tell Abraham, let's tell everyone, so that Yeshua will be able to tell us in Luke 17 about the days of Lot, and be able to refer to Lot's wife, etc. That's why this is in the Torah. It's important. Verse 20, Yah said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave. You read this last week, didn't we, that Sodom was very wicked and sinned greatly. And even so, remember we seen that First World War last week, the first recorded war in the Bible of the nations all at war, and Sodom got battered and Lot got taken captive. But even after all that, Lot goes back to Sodom. What's he into? There's foolish and wise, there's great and least. Sodom, Lot goes back to Sodom. As it got out of there, I think, at that stage, but who knows. Their sin is very grave. And without going there, Ezekiel 16 is great because it tells you what the real sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was. We all know that they were into homosexuality and sexual immorality and all kinds of nonsense. But Ezekiel tells us even deeper than that what the sin of Sodom was. That they turned their hearts away from the poor and needy. They weren't willing to share their bread. They weren't Abrahamic. They weren't hospitable. It's, you know, it might sound nothing. Me and Mike was like this, like we were reading James together this week, and when I read, it's like, this is pure religion. This is pure religion in the eyes of God. Look after the orphans and look after the widows. And I had to stand up and say, Father, I feel like, you know what, I feel like it's not even on my radar. And it convicted me, and I started to pray at this fellowship, and thank God there is people in this fellowship who do these charitable deeds, who do this, give us more of them. You know, I want us to be a fellowship that does this, because it's getting serious now. This is exactly how Yeshua separates the sheep from the goats, isn't it? When I was hungry, you came, and George's going to visit a brother in prison now, who's been in prison for a few years, a Christian brother. That's what Yeshua wants. Go and visit the prisoners. Thank God for Donny and Laura and others that were visiting Chris when he was in hospital before he died. Thank God. You know, you might see him in heaven and he'll be like that. Thanks, lad. Thank you for telling me what you told me. Thanks for that. And going to visit Yvonne, you know, Thingy June and Claire. Thank you for doing kind, charitable deeds. Because this is why Sodom got judged. And this is probably why they went bent and all that and started carrying on. Because their hearts were wicked. They wouldn't share with the poor. They were just insular, horrible people. And that manifested. And that's how you see in Romans, God says that they don't believe in God. He gives them over to his depraved mind. And then you see that homosexuality thing come into it again. It's always connected, but it starts with a wicked heart. So it wasn't because they were all bent, you know, bent or whatever you want to call it. It's because they were wicked-hearted and they weren't giving. And we need to be that. So please make this fellowship full of that.
Yes.
You know, hold me accountable, please. You know, let's consider each other, how we can provoke each other to love and good deeds, Hebrews said. So he says in verse 21, I'll go down now and see whether they have done all together according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom, and Abraham still stood before Yah, and Abraham came near. Amen. Let us draw near. That's what Hebrews is on about. Let us draw near now with a clear conscience, with a full heart of faith. Draw near to our God. And that's what Abraham does. He draws near and says, would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there was 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. He's brave, isn't Abraham? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So Yah said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I'll spare all that place for their sake. Wow, 50. And then you know the thing now, without going through it, he keeps asking, and it comes down by 5 and 5 and 10s, and he asks 6 times in total. I always wonder, because I know God's special number is 7. Why don't you just go that bit more? But maybe he wasn't meant to. I'm just saying, 6 times he asks. And he arrives at the number 10, doesn't he? In verse 32, he says, then he said, let Adonai not be angry, and I will speak once more. Suppose 10 should be found here. And he said, Yah said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. And I remember when we started off, we'd be sitting in the other gaff we were in, and some weeks it'd be like 8 of us, and we'd be made up and someone else would come through the door. And then when we get 10, we go, hallelujah. God, will you save our city on the count of 10? And that's how we were. That's our faith. We were like, God, there's 10 of us here trying to keep your Torah, trying to do it your way. Will you save our city? And it kept us going for a couple of years. Now there's loads more, and it's great, do you know what I mean? And thank God that, grow. Yeah, let Yah build a house, but what I'm saying is our faith then was for 10. Of like, there's 10 of us, and we know we'll save Sodom for 10. And that was brilliant, wasn't it? Thank God for that. Amen. And some of the people say, when we read it in a bit, the reason that Abraham settles at this is because he knows that Lot, his nephew, lives in Sodom. And when we have a little look at it in a minute, although we might not look at it in detail for time, but if we do, we'll see that Lot appears to have a family of 10. He has sons, so there's at least 2 sons. He has daughters with sons-in-law, so at least 2 daughters that are married, and he has daughters that have not known a man yet. So he's got at least 2 sons, at least 2 daughters that are married, and at least 2 daughters that aren't married. Him and his wife and his sons-in-law. So in Abraham's head, he knows Lot's got a family with 10 there. Thinking they're righteous. Well, we're going to find out they're not really. Lot's righteous. But the rest of the family are a little bit skew-with, to say the least. So verse 33, chapter 18, Yah went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. That's chapter 19, we've got one chapter. Amen. And as I say, in half an hour, I need to just get to chapter 22, because chapter 22 is the gospel, isn't it? The binding of Isaac. You've got to spend at least 15 minutes in that. So chapter 19, I might have to just skip through this, let's see. Chapter 19. So that's where we find out now that it was actually 2 angels. When it said there was 3 men, one of them was Yah, Yah, and 2 of them were men, and they were also angels. And that's just because obviously men and angels can look alike. You can invite strangers in, they might be angels, They don't stand there with big wings and all that going, I'm an angel. They look like fellas, it seems to me. So the 2 angels came into Sodom in the evening, and Lot, look where he is now. When he left Abraham a few chapters ago, when they separated, it said that Lot pitched his tent facing Sodom. Bit of an outsider, but I want to get in there. And now he's sitting at the gate. Oh, that's what the rulers do. That's what the leaders sit at the gate. It was the elders of the city that sat in the gate. And here's Lot with his deck chair out, sitting at the gates of Sodom, thinking he's sad. Well, Lot saw them, but you see, Lot is righteous. We're not slagging them down. We want to learn lessons from this, because Yeshua said the days of the coming of the Son of Man will be like these days that we're reading about now. So really, there's probably loads of great info from all of the scholars over the years, but I don't care. No one like this generation should understand this like we do now. It's ours. This is for us. More than any great scholar in the past, they could never have felt the way we feel about this, because we're here right now for such a time as this. So our ears should be like that. Whoa! Because this is what the days of the coming of the Son of Man are going to be like these days, like the days of Noah as well. And we want to be more like the Noah crowd. We want to be more like the Noah people who go, what? You want me to do what? Okay, I'm on it. I'm on it. Where's me axe and where's me thingy? And I'm going to it. That's how we want to be, because Noah got out of there quick. Noah got saved with plenty of warning, and Noah's laughing. Lot got dragged out of there by the skin of his teeth, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the kingdom Lot's one of the least. But if not, you know me, I'll just say things as they are.
But it just shows
I'm not dogmatic about things I don't know about, I'm just suggesting.
It shows the word, where the scripture says the Lord not willing to any
Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful, George?
Yes.
He is not willing for any to perish. And the righteous will not perish. Some might go through serious times of testing, but he will bring them through. Some, like the Philadelphians in chapter 3 of Revelation, you might even get said to them, you know what, I'm going to take you out of that time of testing that's about to come upon the whole earth. That's why it's like the times of Noah and the times of Lot. But we are the righteous. We will be saved, come what may. Come what may. But we want to do this in glory now. Don't want to be hanging around like Lot. So when he saw him, but I'm saying he is a righteous man, it says that in Peter, that his righteous soul was vexed. It's like, just get out of here then. What's the point of sitting somewhere where your righteous soul's getting vexed? Get out of here! But he loved it. He loved the city life. That's what we see starting with Nimrod. He built cities. He loved cities. Abraham weren't interested. He was like, yeah, whatever, gives me tent, because I'm waiting for the city who's building and making his God. That's the only city I'm interested in. That's the way we've got to be. We've got to be like Peter and Paul who knew. We're just living in tents now, just in temporary dwellings. That's how we've got to be. Amen. So when Lot saw them, though, he's very like Abraham. He rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. He said, righteous man. And he said, it's the feast of unleavened bread. Here now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way. And they said, no. We are going to spend the night in the open square. What? In Sodom? God, you're... Ooh. But he insisted strongly. So they turned into him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast. And he baked unleavened bread. Because it's the feast of unleavened bread. And they ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, and all the people, this is a deep town, this. All the people from every quarter surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, where are the men? See, they think the men, not angels. Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally. But this is the days of this coming of the Son of Man are going to be like the days of Lot. Yeah. It was 2 years ago. We seen the White House in America, and I went home after our Shabbat meeting and got home, put the news on, and the White House was a rainbow. And we were all celebrating now that men can get married to each other. And if you're a Christian baker and you're not prepared to make a cake for this gay wedding, you all get them done. Yeah. What? This great nation of America that was founded upon the 10 Commandments can now... You're getting done if you don't marry gay men. You're having a laugh. No, that is the way it is, and it's the same in our country. Yes. And they're teaching kids it. And I was watching in Scandinavian countries now, they've got National Transgender Day, when men are going in school, male teachers are going dressed as women to school, and women teachers are coming with fake moustaches on. Yeah! I was a kid meant to interpret this. It's alright, us going, oh, that's despicable. What about a poor little kid who's like going, Miss is Mr. today, and Mr. is Miss. Yeah, twisted, sick, like the days of old. We're there, it's coming soon. Wake up now. It's all time to wake up.
What did Jesus say? Woe to the ones who cause one to the ones who believe in me.
Yeah, that's right. That the devil's wicked, and his people are wicked. God saved as many as possible. And so, that's disgusting. Verse 6, so Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him and said, please, that's going to be important in chapter 22, this. Please, my brethren, won't be calling them my brethren. My brethren, do not do so wickedly. I'm just saying that, please, and go back to it later, or go when we go forward, but that is the Hebrew nah is please. You've heard of Hosanna, haven't you? Hosanna, when Yeshua entered Jerusalem triumphantly on the 10th day of the first month. They were all shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna. But that in Hebrew is Hoshia, nah, save, please, we beg you, save. That's what nah means. It's so emphatically, please. And that'll make sense after, just in case we haven't got time yet. Please, my brethren, don't do so wickedly. See now, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man, 2 virgin daughters. Please, let me bring them out to you. Go on, Lot, you righteous soul. And you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. This is these fellas. Then they said, this one came in here, and now he keeps acting as a judge. We'll deal worse with you than with them. So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to breaking the door down. But the men, the angels inside, reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. Amen. It's going to be like the days of Lot, the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Five wise and 5 foolish. 5 wise will get in, the 5 foolish will turn up, and the door will be shut in their faces.
Like the ark.
Yes, like the ark. Every time you see doors in scripture, you know. And Isaiah 26, talking of this time, says, get in, shut your door, maybe, and escape this time. Maybe you can escape this time. Shut this time. This is what Yeshua said. When you see these things begin to happen, look up, because your salvation is drawing near, even at the doors. The doors. Yeshua is the door. Verse 11, they struck the men. We were at the doorway of the house with blindness. You think you get the message at this point. So when you go blind, you think, hang on, let's stop this now. But no, both small and great, so that they became weary, trying to find the door. And after it's like these people, they will not relent. These enemies of Israel, they will not relent. You've got to kill these people to stop them. These Hamas and these Iranians, they will not relent. They will not relent until they see Israel destroyed. Verse 12, but they will not prevail, I must add. Verse 12, and I've read this bit before, mentioned it. Then he said, have you anyone else here? Son-in-law, sons, daughters, and whoever else you have in the city, take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of Yah, and Yah has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, get up, get out of this place, for Yah will destroy the city. But to his sons-in-law, they thought he was just joking. The way when people are like that with us, when we're like, it's coming soon, Yeshua's coming soon, and they go, oh, no one knows the day or the hour. It's going to be like a thief in the night. They're like them. They're like them. They're people that say that, mockers. Peter says, doesn't he? You must know this, first of all, brethren, in the last days, scoffers will come saying, oh, where is this appearing? We've been hearing about it for years. No one knows the day or the hour. The scoffers, flee from them. Especially in these days, flee from them. And surround yourself with people who are watching and praying. Because this is what Yeshua said. Watch and pray always, that you may escape all the things that are about to come on the earth. Make your choice. But you're safe coming here. Because this is all we talk about. Yeah. And in all humility I say that, because we pray a lot that God will keep us on this path and will make us wise, and we say to wisdom, you are my sister, like Proverbs says, and we say to understanding, you are my nearest kin, and we lift our voice here for discernment, and we cry aloud for insight, like Proverbs tells us to, because we want to be wise virgins. God, we want to be wise virgins. I want every single person I know to be one of them with me, and help each other to be it. We're all helping each other here to be wise virgins, spending time in the Word of God together, praying. It's brilliant. I love it. Thank you, Father, for it, and keep us going. Unless you build the house, we labour in vain. You build the house. Thank you for adding to us, Father, and for every person that travels here, makes the way here. Thank you. We've already prayed for those not here tonight. Thank you for what you're doing, for keeping us all, making your face shine upon us, and being gracious to us. In the name of Yeshua, amen. Amen. It's so important, isn't it? You know, anyway, they thought he was joking. They're one of them scoffers. I always have to laugh at him. No, it's about to happen any second now. Get out of here quick. When the morning dawns, verse 15, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And while he lingered and thought about it, I'll just have another cup of tea. Yeah, hang on a minute. I'll be there with you. I'll be there in a minute. He lingered. The men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hand of his 2 daughters. And Yah, being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, that he said, Escape for your life. Don't look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed. This is exactly what Yeshua said, didn't he? He said, when you see the abomination of desolation take place, flee to the mountains. Get out of there. If you've left your house, your coat in your house, don't go back to get it. Get out of there quick. I mean, he was talking to people that lived in Judea and Samaria. He wasn't talking to people that live here in Liverpool and Highton and over the water. You know, he wasn't going, if you live in Birkenhead, flee to the mountains.
We've got mountains.
We've got Mount Pleasant in town. And Mount Carmel School or something. But this is the same language. When you see these things happen, flee to the mountains. Flee. It's so, you know, it is a message for us, but it's really a message for Israel. It's really a message for Israel. It's really a message for the Jews that are going to be at the back of their land when this happens and when the abomination of desolation takes place. It's a message for those of you who live in Judea and Samaria. He's quite specific about it. You get out of there, because it's called the West Bank, you see, in Palestinian language and Al Jazeera language and BBC and CNN. They call it the occupied West Bank. Well, when this all goes the way of the Antichrist for 3.5 years, well then those who live in Judea and Samaria won't be safe, and Palestinians will be coming to those settlements and to the teeth. And Yeshua is saying to that generation, flee to the mountains, flee. It's very similar. That's our job, to pray for Israel, you know. Our job is to pray for Israel.
Yes. All the time.
All the time, Jude. Don't give him any rest, Jude. Amen. And everyone else, that's right. You know, when it says this, we said this in the Gospels, when Paul's saying, pray at all times without ceasing. It's not like it's 24/7, you can't have a sleep, and you can't do anything else but pray. The Jewish understanding is the set times of prayer. And I'm not, you know, I'm never up for the early morning prayer. When I get up, it's the early morning, but it's about 10 o'clock sometimes. You know, but it's early for me. So as soon as I'm up, I give it the Lord as sacrifice. And God's not going, what sound do you call this? You know, it means just be praying, be in prayer regularly. Don't think about getting out of bed and going to bed without prayer. Don't think about missing out on these prayer occasions. Pray without ceasing. You know, that's what it means. Watch and pray continually. Means just be a watchman, be alert all the time. You know, but you can have your tea. And you can have an hour's sleep here and there. And so, verse 18, get to the mountains. Lot says, please, no, I don't want to go to the mountains. No, indeed, no, your servant has found favour in your sight. See how gracious God is. I'd have left him, I'd have got lost. See you later. But God's not like that. He's not willing for one to perish. And he said, see, I found favour in your sight, and you've increased your mercy which you have shown me by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die. See now, this city, he loves the cities. Here's another city. Let me go into that city and flee into it. It's only a little one. Please let me escape there. Isn't it just a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said to him, see, I have favoured you concerning this thing also, in that which that I will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, hurry, hurry. It's Passover. It's a feast of unleavened bread. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there. Therefore, the name of that city was called Zoar, which means small and insignificant. The sun has risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then Yahovah rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from Yah out of the heavens. So we overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back. This is what Yeshua said in Luke 17. Remember Lot's wife. Remember her. Don't look back. Whoever sets his hands to the plough and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. Don't look back. It says in Hebrews, if they would have thought of the place that they had come out of, they would have had opportunities to return, but they didn't. They seeked the city, the homeland, the heavenly Jerusalem. Amen. Oh, Father, hallelujah. So she looked back and became a pillar of salt. Verse 27. Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Yah. Then he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and he saw and behold the smoke of the land which went up like the smoke of a furnace, just like Revelation 17:18 describes the fall of Babylon the Great, and the smoke went up to heaven, and the merchants of the earth mourned over the city that was destroyed in a day and in an hour. This is all future. And it came to pass, verse 29, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. So that's good. Abraham, he is the reason, he's the reason we're here. It says this, because Abraham obeyed my voice, as we're going to read soon, then that's why this covenant was going to be established throughout the generations, because Abraham obeyed my voice. And because God remembers Abraham, he delivers Lot. And that's the way it's going to be. Anyone, Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, whoever is in the Messiah, whoever's in the Messiah is the seed of Abraham. That's what it says. So if anyone has done what Romans 10 says, and has said and believes in their heart that Yeshua is the Lord, and has been raised from the dead, and has confessed with their mouth, they will be saved. They are the seed of Abraham, not through works, through faith. And if you are the seed of Abraham, if you are in the Messiah, you are the seed of Abraham. And if you're the seed of Abraham, you will be rescued, because God will remember Abraham. We read it last week in Revelation 7, didn't we? Dead exciting when we seen the innumerable multitude that no one could number, exactly what Abraham got promised. I'm going to give you seed beyond number. You can't even count them, lad. And we see in Revelation 7 this crowd of people that no one could number, and they had all escaped. They had all come out of the Great Tribulation. I mean, some might not have their heads on the shoulders, but they will come out the Great Tribulation. All right, Claire, are you getting off? Okay, I thought you were just saying, so I was going to say that. Shabbat Shalom Shalom. So, the rest of this chapter, I'm not going to read it for time, but this is, a bit of a weird one. But what happens here is now they've all escaped Lot and his two daughters who haven't got husbands, and the sages say that they thought that the world had been destroyed. They thought it was like another Noah's Ark situation and there was no people left on the planet, and so they got into their heads that they were the only chance for humanity, and that they would have to do something quite drastic and actually sleep with their dad. Which is what happens now. On 2 consecutive nights, the elder daughter and then the other daughter get drunk with wine and sleep with their father, and they both conceive children by their father, and then become the nation of Moab and the nation of Ammon. And I'm not going to go into loads about that because for time, but we know, don't we, that the Ammonites and the Moabites, we'll meet them on our journey. Especially in Numbers chapter 25, the king of Moab will be petrified and will call for Balaam to come and curse Israel. And so this is the history now of this relationship. They will produce troublesome nations, but God will make covenants with these nations and will even forbid Israel from entering their land and say, no, I've given this land to the sons of Ammon, etc. But we know that there's redemption even in this, isn't it? Because we know, don't we? I know Vicky knows whose daughter comes out of this. Ruth the Moabite. Ruth the Moabite, the grandmother of King David. The great-great-grandma of the King Yeshua comes out of this. So don't tell me God can't turn things around for this. This is a bit of a mad situation, but God brings salvation out of this. Just quickly, mate, go on.
Question, please.
Go on.
Question, please. When Lot and his daughters went to the cave, was there an offie next door, or did he take it over there?
That's a great question. That is a great question, you know. Father, I pray you will answer that question. Because I certainly can. Chapter 20. Chapter 20. I'm not going to read any of chapter 20 because we haven't got loads of time left. So chapter 20 is about Abimelech, this king of the Philistines, is he from Gerar. But what happens here is what we read about last week, and it's another episode of Abraham and Sarah, which led us to the Song of Songs, if you remember, because Abraham is passing off Sarah, his wife, as his sister, and she is his sister because chapter 20, verse 12 says, indeed, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So it's true. Shabbat Shalom, Claire. Shabbat Shalom. Have a good week. See you around. Shabbat Shalom, mate. Alright. You got a lift as well, yeah? Yeah. Sound. Shabbat Shalom, Marcy.
Have a victorious week. We bring the world with joy. The mountains and the hills shall Amen.
And so chapter 20 is just a reminder of the sister spouse thing, and that's what kicked off the discussion last week about the foolish and wise virgins, because in the Song of Songs the beloved says to the wise virgin before chapter 5, there's no spot in you, you're perfect, come with me my sister, my spouse, and happily ever after until you get to chapter 5, and then there's another woman who hasn't got out of bed yet. Because the wise virgin in the Song of Songs, in chapter 3, she says, by night on my bed, I sought the one I love. I sought him, but I didn't find him. I know, I'll get out of bed. I might find him if I get out of bed. I will go to the streets and the squares, there I will seek him. Amen, she finds him. Because that's where you will find him, on the streets and the squares, winning souls. Because wise people win souls. And that's what the message of the Song of Songs is. And she becomes the sister and spouse, the After chapter 5, then you've got another virgin lying in bed who just didn't get out of bed in chapter 3 with the other one. She stays in bed and then she gets woken up by a knock on the door, which is the knocking of Revelation 3 to the Laodicean church. Behold, I'm standing outside knocking here, will you open up and let me in? Well, that's it in chapter 5, and after chapter 5 in the Song of Songs, you will never see the title spouse again, because she's missed her chance. But she will escape as one through flames. That's the way it's going to be, I'm convinced. I get my understanding more about the 5 foolish and wise virgins from the Song of Songs. And if you haven't read the Song of Songs, I encourage you to read it, especially if you want to understand the 5 wise and foolish virgins. But as Jeff said last week, there's many opinions about this and different understandings, so we need to get together to discuss this, don't we? As a fellowship, as a group, as people that want to know, we need to make time for that, because there's people with other understanding than mine, and I'm all ears. I want to know what this means right now. I really want to know what the foolish and wise virgins is all about. What's the oil? How do you get the oil? All of that. You want to know, don't you?
Yeah, it's the ceremony.
Yeah, well said, Vayera. Gethsemane is where you get the oil. Fantastic. If you want oil in your lamps, get to Gethsemane, because that's where the oil press is. That's right. And what happens at Gethsemane? You say, Father, not my will, but your will be done.
Amen.
That's how you get oil in your lamps. Thank you, Vayera. So that's all I'm saying about chapter 20, because we've got a bit to go. It's 9:45 until chapter 21. So let's see how we can get on with that. Chapter 21. And Yah visited Sarah as he had said, and Yah did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time, the Moedim, the Moed, of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son, who was born to him, who Sarah born to him, Yitzhak. And we've been through all that already. So we've been through all that. Verse 8. So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had born to Abraham, scoffing, it says. It's a good old-fashioned public school term, to scoff. He was scoffing. So we were laughing. Well, it's funny, this one. It's not the same word as laughter that you see everywhere else. You see this phrase used again next week in Genesis chapter 26, verse 8. You see it. And that time is when Isaac will be here next week. Well, he's here now, but he'll be growing up then. And he'll be, his wife Rebecca will have been taken as a captive. Because he's playing the she's me sister card as well. Like father, like son. Isaac carries on with her, she's my sister. It carries on. But the king is looking out of his window, it says, and he sees Isaac and Rebecca. Same word here for scoffing, sporting. You know what it means. Because the king goes, hang on, they're married. So it wasn't Isaac pulling tongues at Rebecca going, and scoffing. They were obviously getting it on. And it's a sexual thing. And so when it says Ishmael was scoffing, it wasn't pulling tongues at Isaac. So I'll just leave the rest to your imagination. Therefore, she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight. Now you might understand why it was very displeasing in Abraham's sight. Because he was scoffing. The matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not let it be displeased in your sight because of the lad, or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Isaac your seed shall be called.
Amen.
Just for time, I'm not going to say it, but if you just read Romans 9, verse 7, it's Paul is quoting this. He's quoting this when he's saying, look, not all Israel are Israel. Not all that are natural Israel are the true Israel. That's what he's teaching. Not being born of the flesh, that does not make you Israel. Only those who are of faith are Israel. And he uses this phrase. And again, we haven't got time, but Galatians, we've mentioned it plenty of times here, Galatians chapter 4, verse 21 onwards, Paul says, come now, you that want to be under the law, don't you know what the Torah says? So you can see quite clearly, this is Torah. You know, Moses is Torah, but Moses is 400 years away, and yet Paul describes this is the Torah. Don't you know what the Torah says? For it's written, Abraham had 2 sons, one by the bondwoman and one by the free woman. And then he goes on to explain that this actually represents 2 covenants. One, Mount Sinai, which is bondage. That's what Paul says. And we have the heavenly Jerusalem, which is the mother of us all. And that is, he's explaining here what salvation is. We are not saved by our own works. We're not under the law. Under the law means you're trying to be saved by your works. We are not under the law. We are the sons of promise. And that's what Abraham is, and that's why it's cast out the son of the bondwoman, that he will not be heir with my son. And God's like that, amen. Because he understands the gospel, God. You know, he does. And then basically I want to get to chapter 22 very quickly now for the last 10 minutes. So all I'm going to say here is basically, you can read it yourself, but Abraham does what his wife said. His wife said, cast out Garash, the bondwoman. Abraham sends her out, Shalach, different emphasis, not quite as harsh. Abraham sends her on her way. And then, you know the story, if you read it yourself, you run out of water. She cries out, the lad's crying out, God hears it and intervenes and blesses. He's saying, look, I'm going to look after this situation. You know, he's your seed, he's Abraham's seed, I'm going to look after this situation, he's going to become a great nation, but they are going to be, you know, an angry nation, like, and there's going to be a lot of grief with this nation. Abraham, lad, I didn't ask you to do this, I didn't ask you to sleep with Hagar, why couldn't you just wait and trust me? But, okay, we'll get through it. I'll work it all out to good. That's what God does.
Like lots of daughters.
I say it, well said.
Yeah.
So we could carry on reading that, but we won't, because I want to get to chapter 22 and just read every verse of this. There's only 20 so many verses. But this is where it's all pointing to. I'd like to add more, but you know. Verse chapter 22. Now it came to pass after these things, and the last verse of chapter 21 says, Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. So a lot of time passes now, and there's various opinions of how long it goes, but all I will say is this, is that at this stage, Isaac's not a little kid. Isaac's a fully grown man at this stage, not some little boy. The word that's used for lad is the same word for young man. So Isaac's a young man at this stage. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham, and that's what we've said a few times tonight. Test me, O God. Try me. Don't be afraid to say it. Your flesh will hate it, but just let loose and pray these ways, because it's God's prerogative to test us, not the other way round. It's sin for us to test God. Do not test the Lord your God, but it is God's job to test us, and that's okay. He tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and Abraham said, here I am. Now this is that verse why I said before, I'm going to emphasise the word now, because you'd never see this in your English Bibles now. You'd miss this. If you pay attention to the Hebrew, you would see this quite clearly. It's so clear in the Hebrew. Then he said, take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. And that means, Moriah means Yah has chosen. Go to the land that Yah has chosen. And then he finds out later, in 2 Chronicles chapter 3, it talks about this same land. And this is where 2 Chronicles chapter 3, where it says Solomon began to build the house of Yah. Same place. So this is the Temple Mount. There's no doubt about it from Scripture. Where this is happening is the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
It is the Temple Mount. It is the house of God where this is taking place. Obviously, a lot before that. It's just a mountain at this stage. But so take him to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. But this is what you miss now in Hebrew. You read it in Hebrew. You could read that as God said to Abraham. God commanded Abraham and said, I command you to take your son. But it doesn't say that at all. In Hebrew, it says, nah. N, Nun, Aleph, nah. Please. The same as we say, Hoshiana, please save. God's saying here, please take. It's not a command, it's a request. It's a request, yeah, to beseech, to implore is a good word. It's God, the creator of the universe, pleading to Abraham, please take your son. It's not a command from the Almighty God, it's a request from one to another, like a friend. Please, please, Abraham, take your son, your only son. Who's this reminds you of? This is all meant to make you think of John chapter 3 verse 16 when it says, for God the Father so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's what this is meant to make you think of now. This is to reveal the inner workings of the creator of the universe who sent his son, and to see the depth of this and the relationship of this. That's what this is meant to be. Take now, please take your son, your only son, Yachid, that is, Yachid, your only son, Yachid, same phrase as Echad, one, your only, Echad, Yachid, your only son. You'll see why I'm emphasising that in a minute. I'll only go on for 5 minutes late tonight. It's only 5 to 10 or something, isn't it? What time is it? It's 5 to 10, so only 5 more minutes late, that's all. Is that okay? Just so I want to read the last of these verses. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sound? Right, thank you. An offering there is a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham, he wasn't like Lot. He didn't linger and go, I'll think about it. He rose early in the morning. Like Yeshua was doing. He used to get up early in the morning. Abraham needs to get up early. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took his young men, 2 of his young men, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. Remember when we were doing the Torah in Deuteronomy the other week, and that phrase came in, afar off, and it said when Moses was going, this Torah is not too difficult for you. It's not far off. And it was a special phrase, can't remember it, but I traced it back, and there's only a few times it's used, and it's time it's used at far off. And then when Joseph's brothers were in the field, he saw Joseph coming from afar off, and they plotted to kill him. Same phrase, because it's going to all come together. It is Yeshua on the cross when his relatives and his friends were afar off, and the Psalms prophesied that his loved ones would stand afar off from his plague. So it's an important thing. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and the lads, the young man, and I will go yonder and worship. Bow down, submit to the will of God, that means. And we will come back to you. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 19, there's another one for your notes. I haven't got time to go there. I'm just not a very good time manager. Or we haven't got enough time, whichever way it is. But, we only have this time, that's how it is here. But what he's saying what I'm saying is in Hebrews 11:19, it tells us here that Abraham received Isaac back from the dead, figuratively, because he knew that God was able to raise him from the dead. Abraham knew the gospel. Abraham knew, hang on, I'm on a you know, you've already told me I can't have my seed through that Ishmael. You've already told me this is my only son. Well, I'm 100 and my wife's 90. We're not having no more kids. So this one, if he dies, you lays him on the dead. And that's not me. That's Hebrews saying this. Abraham received him back from the dead, figuratively speaking.
Yeah, that's right.
This is what Hebrews says. So it's all a third day thing, you see. It's a third day. On the third day, it's resurrection day. Abraham's seeing the resurrection here. It says the gospel was preached to Abraham. Yeshua said, Abraham saw my day and he rejoiced to see it. This is why Abraham knows what's going on here.
Yes.
He's a man of faith.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Abraham, verse 6, took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac, Yitzhak, his son. You know, this is the gospel, isn't it? This is Yeshua going to Calvary with his cross. He took the wood of the burnt offering, laid it on Isaac, his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. Now that is Yachad. I mentioned Yachid means only son, and this is Yachad. So when it says went together, it means they went as one. They were unified. Isaac's getting the picture now. Isaac's starting to understand. He's in on the plot, just like Yeshua was. Just like Yeshua said in the Garden of Gethsemane, not my will, your will, because it was pleasing to God. He said to Abraham, please take your son. And Isaiah said, it pleased God to bruise him.
Yes.
It pleased God to bruise his own son so we could be saved.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. Isaac and Abraham went together as one, because just like Yeshua said, I and the Father are one.
Yes.
And these two are one because these are the shadow picture of the Father and the Son.
Yes.
But Isaac spoke to Abraham, his father, and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. Then he said, look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? It's not like we're going to find one up there. Shouldn't we have the lamb with us? And Abraham said, my son, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering. So the two of them went together. So Isaac's getting the picture even more, but he's still being like Yeshua, and he's saying, okay, we're one, or whatever you say, Father, your will be done, Father. He's not some little kid. He's a grown man.
Yes.
Abraham's an old man now. He could have got off. He could have battered his dad and done one. He went willingly and carried the wood with him.
Yeah.
Verse 9. So it's 10 o'clock, 5 minutes, and we're going to be finished. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham, you see him do this a few times the last couple of weeks. He built an altar. Built an altar. There, and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. This is John chapter 18. This is the same language that when they arrested Yeshua in the Garden of Gethsemane, they took him and bound him, it says. They bound him and they led him to Annas the high priest. And then when he had finished with him, they took him bound to the next protocol. And they took him bound, and they bound Yeshua. And it's the same language. Isaac was bound, Yeshua was bound. Same language. And Abraham, look, verse 10, Abraham stretched out his hand out. I mean, you've been doing this for a while with us now. You know how significant these phrases are. Because what did God say to Moses when he wanted to get them out of Egypt? Moses, stretch forth your hand with your rod in it, and the seas parted. The stretching forth of the hand is very messianic. It's a real redemption phrase. It says in Deuteronomy chapter 5, when we're told to remember the Sabbath, because it says, with an outstretched arm I brought you out of Egypt. And that's what Abraham's doing. He's stretching forth his hand. It's all the same language. But it finished soon. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of Yah called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, the young man, or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And from now on, God has got all the legal rights in the world to now bring his son. Because he has found a human being that is willing to offer his son, and God's gone, because I am going to bring my son now. Yes. And I've got every right to, because I found a human being who is willing to sacrifice his son, so I can do it too.
Amen.
Yes, thank you, Anne.
Praise God for
Thank you, amen. Yes. Then Abraham, verse 13, lifted his eyes, only a few verses to go now, hang in there. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by its horns, just like Yeshua was crowned with thorns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place. It's not the name of God, it's the name of the place. Yahovah Yireh. The Lord will provide. It's not one of the names of God, it's the name of the place. He called the name of the place Yehovah will provide. As it is said to this day, in the mount of Yah it shall be provided. Then the angel of Yah called to Abraham a second time out of heaven, and here's the gospel message again, and said, By myself I have sworn. Hebrews chapter 6, please read Hebrews chapter 6. Hebrews chapter 6 is quoting on this when it says, when God, he couldn't swear by anyone greater, he swore by himself. And it's this thing, it's this bit it's talking about. Hebrews chapter 6, a wonderful Melchizedek passage, all about this. God swore, by myself I have sworn, says Yah, because you have done this thing, and you have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you. Multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven, that's us, and as the sand which is on the sea shore, and your descendants shall possess the gates of your enemies, of their enemies, which is exactly what Yeshua said in Matthew chapter 16, when he was saying, who do people say that I am? And they said, some say this, and Peter said, you are the Messiah, you're the Messiah of God. And Yeshua said, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah. Flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but the Spirit of God has revealed this to you. And upon this rock, not talking about Peter as the Pope, talking about himself, Yeshua, he's the rock, I will build my assembly, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Because this was the Abrahamic promise that you will possess the gates of your enemies. The gates of hell will not prevail against Yeshua's assembly. And here's the gospel again, verse 18. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Why? Why? Because you have obeyed my voice. There's the gospel. All the nations of the earth will be blessed. Untold, numerous people that no one can number will be standing before the throne with palm branches in their hands in Revelation 7. Why? Because you obeyed my voice, Abraham. For all eternity, this deal's finished now. It's done. My son's going to go on a cross and say, it's finished, because you obeyed my voice, Abraham. So as you said, thank God for Abraham. Last verse. So Abraham, he turned to his young men, they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. So we've done all right to get through it. Do you know what I mean? So that's that through it.
Just say one thing about the ram being caught by its horns in the thicket.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's caught by its horns, it's a perfect ram because it wasn't blemished. It's caught by the horns.
Yeah. That's why we blow the shofar.
Yeah.
The shofar blowing comes from the ram's horn.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just do this.
Yeah.